Hello and welcome to another match from the Sakura Spring Championship in the V.O.D Samurai section. This is a round 1 match in the best of 3 format, played between C4 in the light gray banners and Kairoste in the somewhat darker but also gray banners with a reddish tone. And the map is Gunma Field, which was picked by Kairoste, but the replay is from C4's perspective. And I'm going to pause here to go over the builds. So on the right side, from C4's perspective, we have a sword dojo. On the left side, we have a shrine. So both very important. I suspect that both players will challenge for both. And C4 has brought on the right side a revolver calf and a Yariki rank 2. He has a very same combination on the left flank as well. And his right flank infantry consists of a Shogunate Court infantry and a red bear. In the center, he has 2 white bears. And the center left, he has 2 red bears. And on the very left, he has, probably going towards the shrine, an Imperial Infantry and a United States Marines with extended range. And in the back, also a white bear. Unclear where that one's going. His general, quite interestingly, is a Bushido general. So not something you would expect with this line-heavy build. Something to keep an eye on, for sure. Then for Kairoste, we see a little bit more calf in total. So on his right flank, he has a saber calf, a revolver calf, a Yariki, all vanilla. Then he has another Yariki in the center. And on the left flank, he has another 3 calves. So Yariki, Yariki, and revolver calf, also all vanilla. Then infantry-wise, he has a red bear on the right flank, supported by a spear levy. He has a US Marine extended range, a red bear with 1 upgrade for suppression fire. He has another red bear, black tortoise, red bear on the left. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lines. Quite average, I would say. But he still manages to bring a big army by going for non-upgraded cavalry units. And his general, I think more appropriately, considering this build, is a command gen with gun enabled. So let's get this going. Obviously, big advantage for C4 when it comes to the line infantry fight with the Shogunate Guard infantry, with the Imperial infantry, and yeah, also the overall numbers advantage. So I think this will come down to the calf utility from Kairoste's perspective, and the play in and around these dojos. The approach of how these players want to control them or deny the dojos. So here we have the spear levy going for it for the shrine from Kairoste. So C4 will have to challenge this one very soon. And also on the other side, the sword dojo is being captured by a red bear. So right now, C4 is the more passive player on both dojos, probably because he feels threatened by the calf disadvantage. But at least this shrine, I think, should be challenged by C4 because this is the one where he has a slightly advantageous position because he has all this forest area to cover the shrine from, whereas there's more open ground from Kairoste's perspective, which is more dangerous. Here is kind of the reversed situation. This is the sword dojo is more accessible to Kairoste. But of course, if C4 can get some good volleys out of these US Marines, which he appears to be doing, 50 kills already on Kairoste's US Marines, then this might as well be worth it to forego the shrine for. Oh, there's even a second volley, Imperial Infantry, and the Red Bear destroying this US Marine. So this appears to be a slight mistake from Kairoste. Probably didn't plan on being outnumbered this quickly here. Even the Yariki taking stray bullets, over 20 men down. And yeah, I think this just looks very painful overall. He is in control of both dojos now, so that will definitely help. But this is very difficult to come back from. Being effectively down a Marine unit this early on in the fight. So now it looks like Kairoste tries to do some damage control by getting his calf into the mix. Revolver calf looks like didn't get a proper volley off here. Maybe some slight miss micro, or they just didn't fire. Yariki against Saber calf, not too ideal for Kairoste, I think. And on the other side, this is going to come down to whether Kairoste is going to get a volley off with his revolver calf, but he pulls out a bit too early, I think. And now it looks like C4 is the one who gets some shots off from his revolvers. So overall, so far, Kairoste hasn't really been able to make his calf advantage count. But this is overall also pretty messy. Like for me at least, these banners are very confusing because they're very similar in color. I suspect the players might have felt the same when they were playing. So the power bar already gives a big advantage to C4 here, probably coming down to this US Marine exchange. And yeah, in the center, this is a very traditional, classical line fight. Nothing too important to point out here. Just trading volleys between some red bears, white bears, black torches. I think all the action is here on the flanks, where C4 has a 114 man US Marine, so still fairly strong, and really nothing to challenge it. No more 150s for Kairoste and no guard unit either. And I think even the calf advantage is now on C4's side, with all of Kairoste's cavalry having routed off. General's still alive, but I don't think that's going to do too much of a difference here. Yes, I still don't think that it was necessary positionally to give both dojos to Kairoste. But in the end, I mean, the exchange was well worth it. I mean, getting a US Marine in exchange, maybe Kairoste wasn't focused on it properly. Definitely worked to C4's advantage here. Aside from that, there's nothing too much more to say here, I think. Even build-wise, I think Gunma is a very flexible map. You can line spam here, you can play mixed builds, you can play builds with 8 calf and some melee. Obviously, the latter being a bit more difficult to pull off, especially against good players. But I think you can do everything here. So it doesn't really come down to the builds. I think both could have worked. I think Kairoste just was being caught asleep here with his US Marine. And sometimes in V.O.D Samurai, things can unravel quite quickly after a mistake like that, losing your most important unit. And that's how it developed here. Very interesting game, nonetheless. And I think especially on V.O.D Samurai, Gunma Field is a very interesting map. Because usually you are able to stretch the fight over the whole battlefield and go for both dojos, which is much more difficult to do in vanilla, where very often you have to make a choice and then you blob up on either side, and yeah, the battles are very less interesting from a positional and micro perspective. But yeah, very well played. No mistakes really to point out here from C4's perspective. Just clean play. The perceived disadvantage when it comes to the general might have even helped him here, because he was able to fend off Kairoste's cavalry much more so than he would have been able to otherwise, or with a different general. So maybe this was a bit premature to criticize the gen selection, but it's more, yes, it's still atypical, I would say. But yeah, other than that, I think, yeah, it was a very interesting game. And with that, the score is 1-0 in favor of C4, and I'll hop straight into battle number 2. And we're back on Chugoku River, where we have an archery dojo on the left side from C4's perspective once again. In the center, we have a sword dojo, on the right side a workshop. And build-wise, both players have opted to go for something very very similar to the first battle. So once again, C4 has opted to go for 4 cavalry units, 2 Yariki, 1 rank 2 and 1 rank 3, 1 revolver calf, and this is somewhat new, an Imperial Guard calf. His general is an unchanged Bushido gen, and he has lots of infantry once again. So Red Bears, Shogunate Guard infantry rank 1, White Bears, Royal Marines extended range, White Bears, Red Bears, Red Bears, Red Bears, and Kairoste again with a lot more cavalry. So he has Yariki, revolvers, Yariki, Saber Calf in the center, an unchanged command gun gen, revolver calf, Yariki. So again, full calf setup with Vanilla calf. And he has much less infantry, so he has a black tortoise and a red bear on the left. In the center, a black tortoise with a spear levy capping the sword dojo. And on the right side, he has a red bear, a white bear, and a red bear. Both players, once again, going for a very wide setup, so challenging multiple dojos. But Kairoste also, in addition to the line and the calf, has the Shogitai unit over here, which I think is quite a good choice for this type of map, because there's lots of cover for it to advance, lots of choke points or key points on the map that are hard to make accessible for line infantry, or hard to get a good line of sight on. And so I'm a big fan of taking some sort of melee component here with Shugitai or Yarikachi, and going with a balanced build. We already saw some very slight or saw some slight damage being dealt here by the Royal Marines, but nothing major yet. Kairoste being once again a bit more aggressive on the dojos, both going for the archery one, but in the center Kairoste has got the sword dojo and is a bit faster when it comes to capturing the workshop, although C4 it looks like intends to fight for this one. And we have some minor engagements here. Obviously, C4 with his Bushido general also has the ability of cavalry capture, which is something that is quite useful in the early game to put some pressure on your opponents by starting to capture dojos a little bit earlier than your opponent. But here, with how widespread both players are, this is somewhat negligible. Kairoste is very comfortable covering the whole ground of the entire map. So this is less of a factor here right now. Interesting move here by the Yariki. It looks like Kairoste is trying to apply some pressure here, but both units, both the cavalry here and the Red Bear, caught in movement orders, not really firing or charging. Let's see. Oh, are these Red Bears gonna fire? Yeah, this is a big micro mistake from Kairoste. I think this is going to be a wasted Yariki. But even now that it's gone in and it's going to die, he has to use the window of opportunity to move up this Red Bear and to use up the space that has been freed by the Yariki, so that he can at least get something out of this. Here's some nice shots by the White Bear on the Shogunate Guard infantry, so some movement errors here by C4, which is going to cost him a couple men, but nothing too major. In the center, there was some slight skirmishes here. Royal Marines, 33 kills. This Black Tortoise already lost a couple of men. But nothing major has happened here yet either. It looks like this flank is going to have the most action. Let's go to regular speed once again. Kairoste is trying to use the spear levy to push up his Black Tortoise force, try to push off this White Bear off the center. But much more importantly, it looks like C4 is going to have his Royal Marines exposed, and Kairoste has got a really nice angle of approach for this revolver calf, and let's see how much damage they're gonna deal. So full volley, 30 kills. This is really painful, and just like in the first battle, these super quick moments where you have a really nice attack on a marine unit can really win and lose games. For some reason, I mean, here's some engagement here as well. Slight calf fight, but with a spear levy in the mix, I think this is quite comfortable for Kairoste. But for some reason, Kairoste here managed or decided to retreat his revolvers when there really wasn't any need to, because had he just stayed there for like in another 3-4 seconds, he could have finished off this Royal Marine, and now it's still alive on 70 men. Now this White Bear is in position to support, and now this revolver in effect is going to die. That was kind of an unmotivated pullback, just wasn't necessary. And he could have done so much more here with the revolver calf. Here looks like a second Yariki has gotten into the red bear, so he's really spending a lot of money to kill this red bear, and it's still alive, going strong. In the meantime, Shogitai with a somewhat mistimed charge, I think. They took a lot of damage, 50 men down before getting into this white bear, but also from C4's perspective, I think there's really no need to challenge here. He's even counter-charging with the white bear. I mean, this Shogitai is going in alone. There's no support whatsoever. You can just kite and do damage with the general, with the Imperial Guard Cav. No need to throw away this white bear. Yeah, this is really an accumulation of multiple small mistakes here made by Kairoste with the 2 Yariki. Here by C4 letting his Royal Marines get caught, but then also the premature pullback from Kairoste, then the unprotected charge from the Shogitai, or the mistimed charge. I think there was some protection earlier on by this white bear, which routed off. So this is very quickly developing into a very messy battle. This is probably the most peaceful part of it, just 1 versus 1, wet bear versus black tortoise. Black tortoise are probably have an attack order, and they're moving towards their death very slowly. So this is, I think, a slight micro mistake here as well. But let's have a look, and let's try to find the red bear, rank 9. Yeah, I think I forgot to mention this when I hovered over the units. So this red bear has extended range, so it's obviously not as strong as a marine unit, but with 150 range, it has it's just a very useful unit to have, especially when the enemy marine is killed off. So now he has the range advantage across the entire battle, and which in turn also means that he really needs to protect this unit now, because this could be a game winner. Here some nice volleys from the revolvers on the white bear. So yeah, I think once revolver is managed to get into your back and attack units from all angles, then you're kind of screwed, because they can deal so much damage in such a short amount of time. So this is a very painful unit for C4 to have to defend against. He still has his own Imperial Guard Cav, of course, which is very useful in the late game. But an Imperial Guard is, of course, countered by Revolver Cav quite nicely if it's managed correctly. Let's go back to regular speed. There's still... Shogitai has been killed off, so no more melee on the field. Red Bears charging in against other Red Bears. Even downhill charge, I would say. And with the Sword Dojo, they might even... Yeah, they might even win here in the end. But overall, let's count this. There's still a Shogun Guard infantry, 100 men. There's a White Bear. And then there's 2 lines here, but one of which is going to die to these revolvers. Versus 1, 2, 3 lines of considerable size, and this revolver calf. mean, at this point, C4 obviously has to kite here to make sure to keep his Shogunate Guard infantry alive, the only Guard infantry on the battlefield right now, and his priority of focusing enemy units should now be to kill off this revolver cav first, so use his Red Bear and the Imperial Guard cav to kill off this revolvers, and then he has to use his cavalry to kite this 150 Red Bear, which is easier said than done, of course, due to the 150 range. But in general, I think this is the right step of action to kill off the revolvers. It just happens to be a bit too late here, because as you can see now, he really hasn't got enough manpower left to really stand a chance in the late game. I think this is a nice pullback position from the Shogunate Guard infantry. They're going to kill off these Red Bears, which might come back at a later point at 108 men. But here, just with one Red Bear, 100 men, and a very depleted Imperial Guard cav, this looks to be a very hopeless situation for C4, because even the general of Kairoste has gun enabled, so it can kind of counter this 50-man Imperial Guard cav. Quite an even fight, even, you could say. And now with this Red Bear from Kairoste coming back, this is borderline impossible for C4. Archery Dojo also in control of Kairoste, giving him a huge boost in reload. And yeah, let's just see how this unfolds in the end. Red Bears against Black Tortoise here. Even Spear Levy still alive, interestingly. But there's routing, just too much left for Kairoste. And in the end, it was much closer than I thought, at least from the point onwards where the revolvers got into the Royal Marines. I thought at that point the game was done, but there were some other moves made by Kairoste, the Shogutai charge, the two wasted Yari keys, that kind of evened it out and gave C4 some chance to come back here, which made it quite a close match in the end. 200 kills for the revolvers. Shogitai 106 kills. Yes, it's not terrible, like stats wise. But again, it was just a white bear, and yeah, this you can just do the math and figure out that this Shogitai probably wasn't cost efficient. Wasn't even didn't even exert a lot of pressure positionally, because it just ran down from the hill out of the forest and just charged straight through the infantry. So he didn't really make a positional use of the Shogitai, trying to control heavy terrain, which is inaccessible to line infantry. So if he had been more passive with the Shogitai, I think he could have gotten a lot more out of it. Which sounds weird, because then they also would have gotten less kills probably. But I think these melee units need to be used a bit differently. Overall, the rest of it, yeah, nothing too surprising here. Saber Cav, they probably got into a fight in and around the Sword Dojo in the center, which I didn't follow too closely, in and around these spear levies as well. And from C4, I mean, that's just how strong Royal Marines are. They were caught completely off guard, but still 95 kills. Imperial Guard infantry, I think, did a pretty good job. Yeah, and one revolver is again. I'm not sure where they died. I think also in the center, but I'm not sure. But yeah, that also could be considered a mistake. Revolver Cav only 22 kills. No matter how it happened, but that's not enough. Either way, very interesting game once again. So the score is 1-1, and I'll see you on the tiebreaker map. And we're back on Crossroads, which is the tiebreaker map, and C4 is on the defender position, so he has the hill in his back, although the hill position is probably less useful here now considering the placement of the dojos, because on the lower side we have the more important swords, and in the center the shrine, and on the right side the workshop. So we do see some vastly different builds this time. So in accordance with the map, more cavalry from C4. So he has a saber cav here on this right side. In the very back, he has two Yarikis hidden, one rank 3, one rank 2. Then he has another saber cav in the center, trying to cav cap the shrine. And a revolver cav on the left side with two Yariki, again, rank 2, rank 3. So only one gun cav this time. And he also has much less infantry. So he has a very unique combination of 3 Shogunate guards and 2 Red Bear infantry. And then he also has a Yarikachi rank 4, which is at this moment still hidden on the hill, but which will be leaving the hill very soon, I would assume. And his general is an unchanged Bushido gen, so could be very useful here on this map, where you rely more on cavalry fights and melee. Then for Kairoste, he does bring the usual amount of cav for him, and all of it on level 0 once again. So he likes cheap cav. He has a revolver and a Yariki on the left, a saber cav and a Yariki in the center, and a 2 Yariki and a revolver on the right. His general is also unchanged. And then infantry-wise, he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so same amount as C4, but he has 150 US Marine on the very left side. Red Bear, White Bear, Black Tortoise, Red Bear. And then just like C4, he also has a melee contingent of 1 Shogitai and 2 Spear Levy. So very balanced builds from both players, although C4's build is still somewhat more atypical due to the selection of 3 guards, which could have been done in anticipation of melee rush, because Shogunate Guard infantry is very strong to counter melee rushes in my experience. Less so if you want to win a prolonged line engagement, because at some point you're just going to lack the necessary manpower. And yeah, so very interesting build contrast here. Obviously also 2 revolvers versus only 1, and Yarikachi versus Shogitai. But yeah, nothing too major to point out here in terms of you could say mistakes when it comes to the builds. I think both are very much playable here. Though it's interesting to see that we don't see a bow unit, which I think can be very, very good on Crossroads. Yeah, some cav maneuvers here. C4 trying to cap the sword dojo. Obviously, Kairoste doesn't want to give it to him. Same situation in the center, in the shrine. And Kairoste doesn't have cav capture, so this workshop isn't being capped right now. And yeah, we do see some early positioning here. Good line of sight for at least some of these units from Kairoste in and around the shrine. This area around here can be a little bit awkward. Sometimes units shoot, sometimes they don't, or at least only parts of units can shoot. So here the left side is probably going to have some problems in a line engagement. This one is quite okay. This one is okay-ish as well. But yeah, you really have to look out for this on this map. The Shogunate Guard really is only going to be able to do any damage here when the units get really close to each other, which might be what he's planning for here. But yeah, other than that, still positioning phase. We do see the Yarikachi moving up, moving slowly towards the side of the US Marines. We do here have a standoff between 2 guard infantry units, although I think the support is, yeah, Kairoste has a little bit more support here in terms of numbers in the center. So if an engagement were to happen here, I think there's a slight advantage for Kairoste just positionally. And it looks like C4 is going for the first move. Spotted this red bear in an awkward position, trying to get a cheeky charge without getting fired upon. Let's see if it works. And they actually do get a volley out. This is devastating for the Sabercav. Due to the fact that the first line of horses got shut down, they also didn't really get a charge bonus here. So only 10 kills on the charge, and they will die very quickly. And problem is, C4 can't really use this calf push to get his red bears up close, because there is a very real danger of Kairoste just countering with the spear levy push and the Yariki, and then this red bear is without protection. So yeah, this was a high risk move from C4 and didn't pay off here. At the same time, but he's pushing on his right side where Kairoste has his US Marines. Let's see. Looks like he has an attack order with both Yariki on this revolver calf, trying to catch it off guard. Nice reaction from Kairoste, pulling it back in time. Lost 13 men, but that's fine. And now two Yariki of C4 are pinned down by one Yariki, enabling this US Marine to turn around and probably unleash a devastating volley on these two calves. So I think this will be a very good engagement from Kairoste's perspective. At the same time, as I mentioned earlier, the spear levy are now interrupting this red bear. They might not kill the red bear, but at least this one unit will not be firing, which in turn frees up this red bear to give some nice flanking shots into the Shogunate Guard infantry, which is here to basically go into 1 versus 1 against these US Marines, for which they would need to push up a little bit closer anyway. So right now it looks like every engagement is slightly more advantageous for Kairoste. No movement on the other side yet. And yeah, let's keep this going. Obviously, Yarikachi coming in now. Going for the US Marines, it would seem. And now also Yariki charge against Sabercav. Again, better engagement for Kairoste overall. Nice reaction by Kairoste, pulling back the revolver calf to do some damage on these Yariki to protect the US Marines. Slight skirmishes over here. Let's have a look. Red Bear against the Shogunate Guard infantry that's pushing up. Revolver getting a volley out here from Kairoste. No attack orders so far from C4. Let's see. But it's not like Kairoste is reacting either. So this could be, yeah. Now he's gotten a very large, very late attack order in, but I don't think it's enough to get a proper charge bonus here. But now, of course, C4's Bushido Gen and Revolver Calf is coming in. Revolver Calf against Revolver Calf. So Kairoste deciding to mow down this melee calf engagement, and C4 focuses the Revolver Calf itself. And here C4's Bushido Gen getting into action with flanking support from the Shogunate Guard. This is actually, despite the lack of proper attack orders, this is actually kind of alright engagement, because Kairoste also didn't react properly or in time. But here, again, C4 is running into manpower problems, so a nice gap for the Sabercav. And yeah, this Shogunate Guard infantry really is without protection. Let's see where the Shugitai are. Oh, Shugitai now also pushing up, but haven't done too much so far. And on the other side, yeah, I mean, just as I was zooming over to the sword loader, it was quite apparent that this was a very favorable engagement overall for Kairoste. It was a nice spot by C4, or at least it was nice thinking in terms of spotting a US Marine that's basically the the flanking unit for Kairoste, so it's the furthest left unit without proper line protection, which makes it an easy target. So in theory, I like the approach of trying to single out this US Marine, killing off the most important unit. But it's more of the execution that didn't really work here. So the angle of the Shogunate Guard infantry got flanked by the Red Bear and didn't really manage to shoot on this US Marine. Then the Yarikachi, which was intercepted nicely by Revolver Cav. Then the cavalry over here that got blocked up and shot down by the US Marine. Saber Cav against Yariki, all favorable to Kairoste. And considering these exchanges that were all in favor of Kairoste, this smaller engagement over here, which was quite okay actually for C4, it didn't really matter in the end at all. And you can see now at the power bar and the overall development that this is kind of over. Shogite didn't have too much of an effect here, 60 kills, but didn't really have an impact so far, or did have to have an impact. And yeah, overall, this was, I think, a very clean defensive play from Kairoste. C4 really challenged him here, going on the aggressive, trying to exert pressure. Sometimes it just doesn't work. I think this Saber Cav charge in the middle was a bit too premature, because even if it would have worked, like even if the Red Bear didn't get a full volley out, you still would have to deal with an unprotected Red Bear coming in as support, which would have to defend against the Spear Levy and the Yariki. So this wasn't probably the best position to start the engagement in. And yeah, the rest I think came down to micro. I don't think you can blame here the build for C4. I think it was it was atypical, but it's something you can try. Playing with 3 guards, it definitely takes some getting used to, because your army is much more smaller than you're probably used to. But it's not something that's impossible to pull off on Crossroads. So it's very it's very playable for like 5 line infantry builds, maybe even less. Spear Levy actually getting the most kills here, interestingly. You don't see that too often. And yeah, this is kind of the MVP unit here. 124 kills despite being under constant pressure. And many of these kills are actually from cavalry. And the rest wasn't really that important after that engagement, really. Saber Cav only 14 kills in the end. Yarikachi only 14 kills. I mean, the Rover Cav managed to do some damage on them, but they also, I think, were in a bit of a weird angle when they were approaching the US Marine. I think part of the US Marine was able to keep firing, which didn't help here. Otherwise, they probably would have gotten more kills here. But yeah, very interesting game. I liked all 3 of them, to be honest, and obviously congrats to Kairoste, who moves on to round 2, where he will face off, I believe, against Clayton. And yeah, I'll show you that game on my channel as well, most likely. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you then.